Hi, YouTube sphere. I'm a little tardy for the party, but I'm here. And it's Real Estate Tuesday, everybody. Let me get my other cameras going. I had to start off with a smile. Yes. Come on, IG. What's going on? Happy, tantalizing, terrific, triumphant Tuesday. It's a great day to have a great day. It's Real Estate Tuesday. I am here a little tardy, but I'm here to get it started. So today we're talking about homeowners. So definitely tap in, tap in, tap in. I am here for a short time, not a long time. So make sure that you are taking notes. If you're watching the replay, I appreciate you. Thank you to all my new subscribers on my YouTube channel. Oh my God, you all are showing up and showing out. And I deeply, deeply appreciate you. I've been posting for a long time. I've been posting since 2021 doing videos. I did my first video in my car. I had a Durango at the time, and that was Durango. And I was starting my first video right when I dropped my daughter off at acting class, and I said I would just press record, and I posted it on TikTok, and then I spreaded it on my other social media. So I've been doing this for a while, so I'm just so grateful for the win. But let's get started. So I am a real estate educator out of this beautiful city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. And I am here to educate you on real estate and infuse it with some financial literacy. That's what I do. And I love doing what I do. So let's talk about it, shall we? I'm passionate about this. And the reason why I'm passionate about this is because I fumbled one of the biggest bags I've ever experienced in my life. Not saying I'm not gonna get that bag back, but I did fumble the bag. And let me explain to you why. I bought a home in 2010, 2 years after the financial crisis in Memphis, Tennessee. I bought a 4 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house for 150,000, 2,700 square. And that was my first house. That was the first house I ever bought, and it was like a little mini mansion. I'm not gonna lie. Half of that. If I put it half with it, it would have been 5,000 square feet. But I was proud of that house. Once I got in it, I take care of it. I covered my investment. And I'm passionate about real estate education and financial education because I don't want you to make I have that hard lesson like I did. So I did 2010 for 150,000, and then I take care of my home. I didn't, I had insurance. I didn't read my insurance paperwork. I didn't have proper coverage. All these things, and I had to sell my home in a short sale in 2019 because I was behind my mortgage. I had a financial literacy to understand how real estate worked, and I gave my house away. When you should sell your house at a short sale, you give your house away. Don't give your house away. Figure it out, right? And I could have figured it out, but I had got frustrated. I wanted to just get out of there. I don't even know why. I was lovely living in there now, but the thing is, what happened was COVID hit the next year. My 167,000, 205,000. As the year 2021 crept around, it got to 250. 2022, it was at like 270, 280, right? And it stayed there for a while. By the time 2023 came along, the house was 25. Now it's worth 350. So what I'm saying to you is don't fall the bag. If I would have my house and when I moved back to Detroit, I would have $200 bag. I didn't know how real estate worked at the time. And my financial literacy was really limited. And I didn't find out about financial literacy for real and how it worked until I moved to when I moved to my apartment in Memphis, and I started learning, and I felt so bad about squandering my house. So I am so passionate about real estate education because I don't want to fumble this bag. Real estate is a bag. It don't matter if it's your primary home, investment property. You can learn how to take this making it to a bag. I didn't make it into a bag. I fumbled it. $200,000 worth of fumble. Okay. So don't learn that hard money lesson. So let's get into it. So today I'm talking about how even though you're paying a high rent, it might not equal the same value in the home. About it. So you're paying $1,600 rent. So why is the bank only approving you for a $1,200 mortgage? Let's talk about the math that keeps renters locked out. That's what we're talking about today. So thank you to those of you on my YouTube channel. Put a one in the chat, comment watching this live. If you are new to my live, and drop a 3 if you watch a replay, I really, really appreciate you. So let's get it started. So the rent to mortgage a paradox. So let's address one of the most frustrating questions for renters. I pay my rent on time every month. Why can't I qualify for a mortgage of the same amount or more? So you get here, don't look at your history the same way they evaluate your debt to income, and you have to understand your debt to income ratio. So there's a gap, okay, that's causing some confusion, and it discourages a lot of people from buying. But the simple matter of it all is you have to understand your debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio is crucial, okay, especially for renters. If you got good payments, history on your rent with little savings and high revolving debt, that can equate you to having a low, a lower mortgage, lower qualification. So what is DTI? What is debt to income ratio? So debt to income ratio is used to out what you stored on paper. Now you might have a lot of debt and you might be able to pay the bill, but on paper it don't look like it, right? So you have to understand that you have to look good on paper. That's all that counts. You have to look good on paper. So lenders calculate all your monthly debts, student loans, car note, credit cards, minimums, and divide it by your gross income. If that number is too high, usually over 43%, it's a red flag. Now, the higher your credit score is, the higher your debt to income ratio is. So if you're in the 740 and above, sometimes 700, if you're in that above range, that's 700 and above, you can have a 56% debt to income ratio. And it also differs if you have debt that is making income for you, that's a difference too. So you might have high debt, but if that debt is making income for you, that's calculated differently. But we're talking about when you just have a whole lot of high revolving debt, and you have a lot of things going on transactional wise. You might be upside down in your car, all these different things. And if you have a high payment plan on you, that can also affect your debt to income ratio. So one thing about your student loans is you can do during the process, quiet as it's kept, get it to where it's in a deferment or a zero payment plan until you're finished buying your house. That's something that you can do. So for example, you get $4,000 a month. Your total monthly debts including a proposed mortgage exceeds 1720. That's 43% of 4,000. Even if you're paying 1,600 rent now, if your other debts add up, you'll get approved for much less. So you have to make sure that your debt to income ratio is down. So that's what you're looking for. So when you're doing your calculations and before you choose to buy a home, look at your debts versus your income. So you have to divide that. Divide your debt by your income and see what that number is. Usually if your debt is more than your income monthly, you're in a deficit. So you need to make sure that that's 43% or lower. That's typically what you want. And I'm not talking about getting rid of accounts. Don't get rid of any accounts. Like don't close any accounts during the process, because you're going to lose credit history, which is 35% of your credit score. You're going to lose your mix of credit, which is 15% of your account history. Currency, seek home ownership as soon as. Oh, you absolutely correct. You said it. Once you realize you are essentially paying off the mortgage of someone else by renting, you'll see how homeownership as soon as possible. Yes, you will definitely seek homeownership as soon as possible when you realize, yes, you are paying off somebody's mortgage, plus they are profiting off of you. Thank you for that, chat on Facebook. So, third thing I want to cover is what lenders don't count that renters think they should. It's a lot of things that don't count. So, rent payment history often doesn't show up on your credit report unless through a special reporting system like Rental Karma. I'm affiliate with Rental Karma. You can put rent payments on your credit report. That is how it can show up. Now, some lenders are putting your rental payment as on there as well without you using those type of places like that. But there's other places like Rental Karma. So Rental Karma is a place that puts um, your rent on your credit report as a not a revolving because that's credit cards, but as an installment account, like your personal loans, your car note. They put it on there as an excuse me, as an installment account. And if you have 2 years or more, that can give you a boost of 30 to 100 points within 30 to 60 days if you're paying on time. So that's the way that you put rent on there for it to count. If you want it to count, put your rent on there as a installment account through places like Rental Karma. And if you need some more information about that, you can definitely contact me and I can give you some information about that. So lenders don't assume that just because you pay $1,600 in rent, you can manage $1,600 mortgage, taxes, and insurance. That's the difference. Your mortgage has to equal your mortgage, your PITI has to equal 1,600. So your mortgage, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance have to equal 1,600. That's the difference. Now you're talking about 1,600 plus that's your mortgage and that's your mortgage and your interest. I should say that's your principal and your interest. You got to add on insurance and taxes. That's gonna be way over 1,600. So you need to make sure that you understand to calculate that. You can if you afford 1,600 and 1,600 is comfortable for you. Thank you, E. And if that 1,600 is comfortable for you, then you have to make sure that it's including your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That's what that is. Thank you for the likes on YouTube. So emphasize that your mortgage approval is based on what it looks like on paper, not what you can afford. So what do you look like on paper? Do you look like a liability or do you look like somebody that can pay the mortgage, the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance? Because that's what they need to be assured of. And I know it seems like tough and it might seem like, it's a never ending saga. Like, they always want something. But this is one of the largest investments that you're going to make. And this is one of the investments that you're going to make that's going to make you be, make you use it as leverage to have a leg up when the next time you want to buy something of a large amount. So the fourth thing is credit cards plus car notes equal deal breakers. So if you have high interest in utilizations, it's gonna be a deal breaker. So you have to break down, like you have to have small debts that add up and it could eat your approval power. That's what you don't want it to do. So we're talking about you got a $350 car note plus $100 credit card minimums can lower what you qualify for, even if you're never late on your rent. So having a high car note with high interest, high credit card, car minimums. If you're at $100 car minimum, that means that you are either over the limit or you have really high limits. And the higher your limits on your credit cards, the better your debt to income ratio. If you're staying at 10% or lower, whenever I talk to my clients, I always tell them you need to stay within that 6 to 7% range when you're buying your first home, when you're buying a home or trying to get funding from a bank, regardless. You need to stay within 10% or lower. That 6 to 7% range is a good range. So that can hinder you from getting a mortgage You have a high car note, high credit card limit, minimum payments. So the fifth thing is, let's strategize to bridge the gap. So how to lower your DTI? Pay down debts and avoid opening new lines of credit before applying for a mortgage. You do not want to apply for any new. So if you're 3 months out of buying a home, unless it's like a high tier credit card, like American Express, a Chase Preferred, some high tier card, it's a no go. If it's just something that you want to add, and then you need to make sure that you're paying down your debts, not getting rid of accounts, but paying down your debts. Because if you get rid of accounts, it can lower your credit score because you're going to lose that account history. You don't want to lose that. So make sure that you understand that. So you want to build alternative credit. So report your rent using platforms like Rental Karma, Rent Reporters, or Experian Boost. You can do it on those platforms. I am an affiliate of Rental Karma, so I boost Rental Karma. You can add a co-borrower or consider grants and down payment assistance to boost your approval power as well. So that is a given. You're going to get down payment assistance, but you have to have a credit score to get to the down payment assistance. So minimum you need is a 620 and a DTI of 43%. Now, there are other programs out there where you can have a higher debt income ratio, like 56%, and a lower credit score at 600. But you got to remember, your interest rate is going to be high. Take that later. You can refinance that down later once you improve your credit. The mortgage improves your credit, people, because it gives you credit. It gives you credit history. It gives you a mix of credit. And if you paying it on time with no late payments, your payment history. So all of that is a factor. So your credit history is 35% of your credit. Your your mix of credit is 15%. So you have to look. Buying a house can help you improve your credit. So when you talk about that, then you can buy it at a lower credit score and then refinance early. You want to refinance early. You do not want to refinance when you're 15 years in, because it starts it over at 30. You don't want to do that. So if you're going to need some money to get back out your house, you need to do a home equity line of credit. That's another subject for a different day. We're not going to talk about that. So thank you for all of you that just tapping in with me. So the sixth thing is mindset shift. Renting is expensive, but you have to buy strategically. You have to buy like an investor. You want to buy in neighborhoods that are going to continue to grow in value. So I can speak for Detroit. Like, there are a lot of neighborhoods here that are seeing 7 to 10% appreciation every single year. You want to buy in those type of areas. You want to buy in up and coming areas where you have built-in equity when you buy your home and you fix it up. You can still use first-time home buyer grants with a FHA 203K loan. What is that? An FHA 203K loan is it's a fix, like you buy a house that needs some construction, some fixing, and they put that into your mortgage, and you have 6 months, so you can live. You can live in your apartment or whatever, wherever, somewhere for 6 months, and you don't have to pay your mortgage for 6 months. But that means you have to tap into a contract to get that work done. So that's something that that I put into my book, that you will be able to ask contractors these certain questions. You have to be on them and have somebody that is knowledgeable enough to get with those contractors. So when you're thinking about purchasing a home, you want to think like an investor. You fall in love with a house, yes, but you want something with some good bones, some good structure, and something that's going to appreciate value every single year. Our real estate, depending on where you live in, has moved year on year since 2020, 25%. So you need to know that in your local area. Where is appreciation? Where is the developments? Where are the multi-million-dollar developments? I just passed Linwood the other day. That's a street in Detroit, and they're about to have a tech horse farm off of Linwood. I grew up over there. There was no type of nothing like that over there. I'm like, they're about to have a horse farm with technology hub, whatever that is. I passed by it real quick. I just saw some of the pictures. So you want to look for things and developments. They're doing something, with Cooley High School. That's being redeveloped to a community space. So anytime the government is coming in, doing community spaces, putting tech hubs, businesses are coming in. You see grocery stores. If you see a Chick-fil-A in your neighborhoods, you already know Chick-fil-A is a real estate business. They're not a restaurant. They only put their stores where the real estate is going to increase and the traffic is there, period. So you need to understand that mechanism. If you see a landmark, I used to live in Russell Woods. That's Alpha Dexter Linwood. They did put a whole post, Russell Woods neighborhood post in the middle of Dexter. I'm like, I've never seen that when I was living on 2946 Leslie. So understand, you need to pay attention to these things. So you want to buy like an investor. That's the first and foremost thing. So in renting a bill, mortgage is strategy. That's how you got to look at it. You want to be able to buy something that you can leverage. So equity, what's equity? Equity is basically what your home value is versus what you owe. So you want to buy something that's built in equity. That's why I was talking about the FHA 203K loan, where you can buy a house and need some fixing in an area that's going to continue to grow. And then you have built-in equity. So if you buy a house for $75,000, you put $50,000 in there, you know, you put in, what's that, 125,000. I think I'm doing the math right. And then but the house is worth 150. You got $25,000 worth of equity already built in. And it can go even higher than that depending on where you buy. So that's what I mean. So when you own, part of your payment builds equity. Ownership is what rent is overhead. Only time that you rent is if you are having a tenant yourself and you got somebody. That's the only way rent pays off is when somebody else is paying rent in the house that you own. So the last thing I'm going to say is you have to have empowerment. Don't let that discourage you. I'm not here to discourage you. I'm telling you the reason why sometimes if you're paying than what you are, you're paying rent at $1,600, but you get approved $1,200. It's because what you look like on paper. Pay down your debt, your credit card utilization, your car note. Think about, refinancing your car if you have the credit score, because I think you got to have at least a 650 to a 680 for to refinance your car note to get a lower payment. Refinance a car and pay that off later. Get something where you have your loans, your student loans in a deferment or a zero payment. I'm not saying on this live what you can do with that, because I'm not trying to get flagged or anything, but you can have zero payment until you buy your house, and then you can go back and resuming your student loan payments. Especially if you're in certain industries. So making sure that your debt is low, is high. So they are including certain things as your income. So you got life insurance, child support, alimony, side hustles, whatever that is, whatever you get paid from, you can include it. Now, when you're a business owner, it's a little bit different, and it's hard for business owners to get mortgages because of the fact that a lot of people don't have the paperwork together, have their business structure together. You don't have P&Ls, your taxes are not done right. Because a lot of people write off a lot of stuff in their business, so it look like they're not making any money, so they don't have to pay any taxes. That's a problem. So I know a lot of people run into that. So then you have to go back and pay the IRS and make a payment, and then your debt to income ratio goes up. Find ways for deducting in your business but still showing income. That means you need to have a great CPA. If you don't have a great CPA as a business owner, that's a part of your team. CPA, lawyer, mentor, all of those are a part of your team. You got to have your balance sheet, your asset list, all of those different things. You got to have it because a business is risky. How do you get around that part? What part? Oh, I got a bad connection. My internet went out. What you talking about as far as taxes? Are your tax returns? Like, you just with the tax returns, you have to make sure that you can have a payment. You can have a payment plan with the IRS. You just got to make sure that income is showing that you have more money than that payment. That's the tricky thing about it. Because I have a friend who makes a lot of money, and he has own a power washing business, and he shows that he makes $1,000 a year. But they just bought a plot but his wife is also a nurse practitioner, anesthesiologist, nurse practitioner. I forgot like what their name is too. They're probably a factor, but he had him only making $1,000 a month, and I'm like, you make way more than that. But you just have to get with a CPA, like get in with like H&R Block. When you got a business, get in with H&R Block and all them folks. You need an actual CPA that can tell you. Well, you can still buy a house as an entrepreneur. You just have to have your tax returns showing that you're making money, but still getting the deductions that you need in order to show that you have high income, but you got the tax deductions to show for it. So getting with a good CPA, they can show you like different things to do that, on how to do that. You just have to get with somebody that really knows tax strategy and learn the tax strategy as an entrepreneur yourself so you won't get duped is another thing. I got to learn more about that. That's the next thing after I finish my residential builders class and my AI certification. I'm definitely diving into taxes. I'm not doing taxes, but I'm diving into learning taxes because I'm building my business. But that's a good question, though. You just have to get with a CPA that knows the deductions, especially now with the big beautiful bill. That big beautiful bill is built for entrepreneurs. A certified public accountant is a CPA. Certified public accountant. So you want somebody that has that certification. A certified public accountant is a CPA. You want to make sure that they have that certification, and not just a tax preparer. You want somebody that is a certified public accountant, and making sure that if they can't tell you how to make more money in your business, if they're not investing in real estate or in something and their money is growing, that's not a good CPA for you. You need to find somebody else. You need to be asking them, if you're looking for a CPA, are they investing? What are they investing in? How can they help you, prepare your taxes to, afford a mortgage or, look good on paper? That's what their job is. You can't go to H&R Block and, Jackson Hewitt and all these different places to do that. You need a certified public accountant for that. And just make sure that you have your your P&L, your profit and loss statement, your balance sheets, all that type of stuff that you're supposed to have in your business anyway. Just make sure that you have everything, showing. So yeah, so that's the reason why your debt to income ratio is high. That's the reason why you're getting, less. You're getting, eligible for a mortgage less than it is your rent. So if you're paying $1,600 in rent, my pleasure. If you are getting, if you're paying $1,600 in rent, and they tell you only can afford $1,200, that's because your debt to income ratio is high. High car notes, high credit card utilizations, all of those things are a factor. That credit card utilization is a factor. You do not want to be over the limit. Over the limit tanks your credit score. You don't want any late payments. That tanks your credit score. And then if you have they look at your interest rates too. Not really on your credit cards because they know interest rates are going to be high depending on your credit score. But if you have high interest rates on other things that you are paying on to, they look at that too because it's eating your money. So you need to make sure that you are looking at your interest rates. You can negotiate. Once you get your credit score, you can negotiate your interest rates. That's another topic for a different day. So you need to make sure that you are understanding your credit report, how it's reporting, what's on there. Just because your credit is bad does not mean that people will not come and steal your identity and get stuff in your name. My friend had bad credit for years, and she looked at her credit report 5 years later. She had a house in New York. People can still do things with your credit report, with your credit, with bad credit. So if you have bad credit, they prey on you the most because guess what? They know you're not looking. So they're going to go and they're going to prey on it. So you got to make sure that you're looking out for that on top of making sure that you are paying your bills on time. What if they keep what if they don't share it with you with share it with people? What do you mean, JC, if you're still on here? What if they keep it hidden? Keep what hidden? Exactly. What? Okay, you talking some gibberish. But anyway, but just make sure that you have You understand your finances and how it works. That's the reason why you get approved for less than what you're paying, because of course you're gonna pay higher in rent than a mortgage. That's what it's designed to do. And if you're a landlord, you want to make profit, so you want your tenants to pay more than what you owe. A lot of times, if you think about it like this, a lot of landlords want to make $200 to $500 in profit a a month. So think about that house and a mortgage, and you could use a mortgage calculator to understand if you're paying rent right now in a single family home. You can look up that value of that home. You can use Zillow numbers and then go and Google the rent calculator. Oh, you can do it in Chat GPT. It'll tell you what the mortgage would be on that home, and you will see what I'm talking about. You'll see how much profit your landlord is making. Um, I didn't say mortgages were good to build wealth, Brandon. That's not what I said. Um, I said real estate is a mechanism to build wealth. That's why wealthy people buy real estate. You have to learn how to leverage that real estate in order to uh, build wealth. So that's it. So I want to make sure that you understand that I have all of these things in my ebook, Journey to Your Castle. I'm helping first time home buyers from concept to mindset to goal setting all the way to the closing table in my ebook, Journey to Your Castle. So if you're interested in that, you can comment castle, and I'll send you the link for that. So I made an essential guide for first-time homebuyers to overcome obstacles like this and own smarter. So when you're talking about buying your first home, you want to buy like an investor. Remember what that I said that. And don't be afraid to buy that ugly house on the best block, because you can get a FHA 203K loan to help you fix that house up and have bills and equity. That's what you want to do. So I bid you adieu. Everybody have an amazing, beautiful, blessed night. It's time to eat. I'm ready. I'm doing a first time homebuyer workshop tomorrow online on Zoom. So you can leave me a comment. You can comment workshop to get the link. It's free, to complimentary. If you are interested in my first time homebuyer workshop, I'm doing that. I do it every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in that, you can just comment workshop or DM me workshop. Or like I said, on my YouTube, you can comment workshop, and I will send you the link for that. And you can tap in. Last week, I did one on how to go from 1 year out, 6 months out, 3 months out, or how to prepare to be a homeowner. So that was last week. This week, I'm breaking down credit reports. Okay. I'll see you. I got you. So I'm breaking down credit reports tomorrow. And so bring a credit report. Go to freecreditreport.com. If you have not got it this year, you don't have to display it or talk about it. I want you to be able to look at it and go through it with me as I go through it. And then I'm showing you how to, build some credit on there as well. So that's the topic for tomorrow. So comment workshop, and I'll definitely drop that link to you. So I gotta message some people too. I gotta do that. It's been a day, but like I said, have a good night, and I will see you all next week. Or if you're gonna come to the workshop, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. See you, YouTube.